Okay, so our next focus for our studies this semester are going to be based on differential analysis and performance evaluation, and those two terms really kind of go together. So when we look here at our objectives, we have three of them, but I do want to emphasize that we're going to spend an awful lot of time on this objective number one. Okay, we're going to spend some time on number two, and then number three is probably going to be mostly self-study. So when we talk about differential analysis, your slide shows a five-step process right here. And let's just go ahead and go through these. It says identify the objective of the decision, and it says which is normally to maximize income. That's not always the case. Well, let me back up. That I want you to understand that when we say maximizing income, we're talking about maximizing net income. So I don't want you to confuse this necessarily with the notion of cash flows must increase, because we can maximize income also by decreasing cash outflows. We can cut costs. There are different ways to do this. Step two, it says identify alternative courses of action. Well, we have to take step two seriously, because if we don't, we're literally coming up with one idea, and we're going to go out and we're going to roll with that idea, and hopefully it's great and it works. But if it doesn't, we won't be able to look ourselves in the mirror and say, hey, you know what, at least we considered this the better of two options, three options, whatever the case may be. Step three, it says gather information and perform a differential analysis. So one of the things about accounting, all types of accounting that you've probably figured out by now, is that we use a lot of estimates. Because we have to have some type of idea about what we're going to do. And this is true of business in general. We have to have some type of an idea of what we're going to do before we actually do it. So we want to gather as much information as we can to make our analysis of these alternative courses of action here as realistic as possible. Number four, we're going to make a decision. And then number five, we're going to review, analyze, and assess the results of the decision. Now, this step five is tricky, because depending on what our decision was here in step four, and depending on other factors like the size of our business, we may not really be in a position to do anything about it if we made a poor decision right here. Okay, but in an ideal set of circumstances, we will perform step five, because what we have to always understand is that the best decision 6 months ago may or may not be the best decision going forward today. And if it's not, we have to look at ways to potentially mitigate problems before we're 2 years out, 3 years out from this decision that we made in step four. All right, so we have a little example here. It says assume that Bryant Restaurants is deciding whether to replace some of its customer seating with a salad bar. And in line with step one, you know, they're not just deciding to do this because they don't have anything else to do. They're not conducting this analysis just to do so. They want to know, is adding a salad bar going to produce ultimately higher profits than keeping with the status quo? It says here under step one, their objective is to increase its income, their net income, to make more money. So again, alternative courses of action are use floor space for existing tables. So if we're saying existing tables, then what we're really kind of saying is we're not going to do anything. Or maybe we have an area where we don't have any seating, but we have the tables that we can put into that area, increase capacity. So we're asking ourselves the question, if we have increased seating, does that necessarily lead to increased business, and if so, how much? Replace these tables, and I'm assuming an extra area in terms of square footage, with a salad bar. So these are our choices. So at this point, the company is going to do their best to gather good information and perform some differential analysis, even if they don't know that they're performing differential analysis. So alternative 1 looks like we are doing something because we have some costs associated with it. We anticipate revenues of $100,000. Costs of alternative 1 are $60,000, and net income $40,000 on the plus side. Alternative 2, the salad bar, revenues go up some. We do have some additional costs, and income increases to $55,000. So with this in mind, we probably have our answer. So when we talk about differential analysis, as we get into this a little bit, we have 3 components: differential revenue, differential cost, and differential income. I'm going to go back to the previous slide. Differential revenue is $20,000, differential cost is $5,000, and differential income is $15,000. So here's our breakdown. And let's see if they list all of these things. They do not. But we know what they are. This differential effect on income is a plus $20,000 for differential revenue. It is a negative $5,000 for differential costs, but overall, differential income is a positive $15,000 if we select the salad bar option, alternative number 2. Okay, so step 4 says make a decision, and based on the results of the analysis, we want to add that salad bar, because doing so will increase income by $15,000. Step 5, review, analyze, and assess the results of the decision. Okay. We may come into some information, after the fact, that we may or we may not be able to do anything with. We went with the salad bar option because it increased our income overall by $15,000. But let me throw this out at you for a second. Let's say that we have a major competitor with a very, very similar clientele to what we have. And let's just say that before we ever added a salad bar, we were profitable. And now, 6 months down the road, a year down the road, whatever time period you want to go with, let's say that this major competitor goes out of business. And let's also say that we're not exactly in an area where somebody is just going to pop in and open up a new restaurant that will be just basically brand new competition for us. Let's say that business, when it closes, their clientele is essentially left without a place to go. Well, if they were a real big competitor of ours, it might be realistic to say that that we could pick up some of those customers. And especially if that business did not have a salad bar, which could be part of the reason why they went out of business. But we have to analyze our choice here in step 5 and ask the question, okay, is the decision that we made a year ago, 6 months ago, is it still the right decision? if we had more seating and no salad bar, is it possible under a new set of circumstances that we would have more business? Okay, so if we've gone to a lot of expense to put the salad bar in, it may not be realistic to take it out, but this step 5 is an important step. Okay, so let's go ahead and end this video. This is a short video, just a little bit of an introduction to differential analysis, and then we'll get into some actual real life business case scenarios in the upcoming presentations.